seeks opportunities to get further engaged with the community. And I can tell you right now, we could not have pulled off these two structures without the home of our friends Rick McNellis at the Home Depot. Home Depot built these structures for us. They came out here on the weekend. His staff came out here, so Rick, we graciously appreciate that just as well. And standing right behind him, Ron Pratt is the ones that basically put the sprinklers in. So the sprinkler you're going to see activate today is an engineered sprinkler. Okay, or obviously it's a smaller structure, but it is engineered as if it would be in a residential structure. So you're actually seeing the specific sprinkler that would be designed for a home. Now, obviously you're not going to have a fire engine plumbed into your house. It would be into your normal water supply. But basically everything else is going to be as if it was a normal residential structure. So let me just describe a couple of things that we're going to do. Obviously, on the right side, it's going to be representative of a home without a sprinkler system. Now, what you're going to see, we're going to light it consistently, okay? They're designed to basically replicate each other. The furnishings are obviously from a hotel. We got the exact furnishings, so everything is represented as if it was the exact same thing. Now, that being said, we're going to light it from the backside using a fuse. Okay, when we do that, I'm going to basically narrate a couple of things that are going to occur. I'm going to talk about the progression of fire. Now, a couple of things that we would like you to take into consideration. This is an open environment. If this was a residential structure, the smoke that is emitting out to the open air would be basically going throughout your home or a civilian's home. All right. Now, smoke is the big risk. Okay, carbon monoxide being the most toxic gas, being the most prominent gas. In the fire service, we talk about that all the time. Ignition temperature of 1128 degrees. At 1128 degrees, we have a thing we call flashover. Flashover is the near simultaneous ignition of everything in the room. Okay? When everything in the room ignites, we as firefighters, protected head to toe with a protective ensemble, can't be in there. You certainly, as a civilian, cannot be in that environment. Very toxic, very deadly. I'm going to describe the progression of that. You're going to see a very small stage fire progress all the way up to what we describe as the flashover. Now, a couple things I want you to look at. First and foremost is the smoke. As the smoke fills this structure, it's going to go throughout. What you're going to hear is the smoke detector activation. I can't stress this enough. I hope this is common sense at this point. Smoke detector activation, that's our evacuation. That's our alerting. That is a key component that we want you to walk away from today, is the critical importance of a smoke detector, a working smoke detector, every floor of your home, just outside any area that someone is sleeping or occupying. Second point, smoke does not activate a sprinkler. Heat activates sprinklers. Now, the myth that we hear all the time in Hollywood depicts it oh so well is that sprinklers all go off at the same time. Folks, I cannot stress this enough. One of the messages that needs to leave here is the fact that temperature, heat, is what basically activates that sprinkler. We're talking about 135 to 165 degree activation of that sprinkler. One sprinkler directly over the scene of the fire. Every so often you may see multiple heads at a fast spreading fire, but it's not every head going off. So that's an important point that we want to stress here today, and that you get to see. Obviously we only have one head in here, but you understand that it's one head at a time, not the entire system. Okay, so we'll do this one here. We're going to let it go all the way to flashover. Now tie in the component. We're very proud of the fire departments, all the fire departments here in the Las Vegas Valley, Clark County, North Las Vegas, Henderson, Boulder City, as well as Las Vegas. Now keep this in mind. We have a typical response time anywhere to 4 to 6 minutes. All the fire departments in the valley were pretty consistent with that. Our response time is us physically driving down the road. For us to get everybody assembled on the scene typically takes around 8 minutes. That's all the complemented units that we need to be on that scene to function in our fullest capacity. What you're going to witness here today is a sprinkler activation, typically in less than 3 minutes. So you literally have a firefighter in your home. Now our mission, each and every firefighter's mission is very simple. Save lives and protect property in that exact order. Folks, you can help us by supporting the sprinkler side of the house. We can only get there so fast. We can put firefighters on every corner. We cannot get there as quick as a sprinkler can activate. That is of the utmost of importance to consider what we're trying to convey to you here today. The question was asked, how much do sprinklers cost? On average, it's $1.61 per square foot. When you go home, start doing the math and think about the last time you had to replace your carpet, or you will replace your carpet in the future. It is very similar to the cost of wall-to-wall carpeting in your home. $1.61. Ask yourself, what is it worth to save a life? That's the message we want to convey to you just as well. So I don't keep our fellow firefighters suited up in gear too long. We're going to go ahead and light the first one. Again, this is the non-sprinklered. I'll narrate it. I know it's tough to see. I was going to try to give you a little bit of time frame as to the chain of events when everything is occurring, but I'm going to basically go out on the limb here. And I'll talk about 4 minutes. Within a 4-minute time frame, I'm going to guesstimate that the structure to my right, your left, is going to flash over. So that's going to be basically floor to ceiling, full involvement. Okay, totally untenable for firefighters or anybody else that could be potentially in that structure. So, real quickly, any questions at this point? Okay, am I screaming at you or can you hear okay? All right, I get a little fired up with this, I'm sorry. No pun intended. All right, Cap, I'm ready when you guys are.
He's lighting it now.
It's already lit.
All right, so what we've done, okay, just so you don't think we're cheating here, we did stuff the couch with some newspaper just because we wanted to get it started. Now, the other side of this is hotel furnishings. There is a chance that some of these furnishings on the exterior has some fire-resistant qualities to them. That's perfectly fine. The vast majority of your home furnishings are not fire-resistant. Now, what you're saying, what we call is an incipient stage fire. That's the first stage of the fire's going to go through. You've already heard the smoke detector activation. That would be you and your family's first response to get out of the home. Now, you start seeing the accumulation of gases. The gases that I'm talking about, obviously the smoke. Remember carbon monoxide, odorless, tasteless. Okay? You can't taste it, you can't smell it, you can't see it. That is the most toxic gas. That's what typically gets a fire victim. It is not the heat that gets them. So we've got smoke detector activation. We've got the accumulation of gases that would be walking throughout your entire home, upstairs, downstairs, doing what we call a mushrooming effect, which is starting to walk its way down the walls. All that smoke that's coming out, once it reaches its ignition temperature, you're going to see that light up. What's happening in the back wall there is the flames are crawling up the wall, they're going over the ceiling, okay, and that's called a rollover effect. That rollover will eventually start to roll out of the front of the structure, then you'll start seeing the lower portion start to do what we call off-gas or pyrolysis. That's the moisture coming out of the carpet, the woods, and everything else. Once it dries out, you're going to see it reach its ignition temperature, and you'll have full involvement. Now, you can guesstimate we're a good 40 feet away. Can you start to feel the radiant heat? Now, that radiant heat's coming into the open air. If that is in a structure, anything out here is starting to basically dry out and prepare to burn. Literally, it's preparing itself to burn.
We're at 2 minutes.
So we're at 2 minutes. Let's just go through the fire department scenario. It typically takes us a minute to process a call from 911 to communicate to our folks in the field. So the folks in the field have now basically got to the apparatus, start donning their gear. They typically don their gear for response in less than 60 seconds. They're now on the road for that 4-minute response time. That explosion you heard is nothing more than the tube of the TV, very typical. Ooh. Now we just reached flash over.
Who has marshmallows?
Just reached flash over. Now you can feel the radiant heat. All right, Cap, go ahead.
253.
Good. Semi-off, Cap.
3 minutes.
So 2:53, just under 3 minutes, we had flash over. So they're going to continue just to monitor that for a couple minutes to mop it up. Let me describe a couple of things. Okay, what that fire did is came up the wall, came up to the ceiling. Once the fire reaches an obstruction, it starts to walk its way out. Okay, if that is in a large open room, it's going to walk throughout that room until it reaches another obstruction. Eventually, it's going to start to work its way down. Smoke and toxic gases are filling that residence. Remember, they are ignitable. As soon as they reach their ignition temperature, now we have fire throughout the structure. So minimal water needed there. 2 minutes and 53 seconds, the fire department is still en route. Even the best fire department located right here in the Las Vegas Valley cannot get there in a 3-minute time frame unless you live right across the street. Okay, that's not the lesson, the importance of the fire department. Absolutely a critical asset. But the way you help us is protect yourself one level greater by having a working smoke detector, having a sprinkler system in your home, and obviously having some degree of an evacuation plan that you account for everybody. When we arrive, we count heads, make sure everybody's out. Questions, comments, or thoughts?
How long would it have taken for that to start catching on fire?
What's that?
The next unit over.
The next unit over as far as the next room?
Well, yeah, whatever that is, for that fire to start jumping another spot.
I would say a matter of minutes. If you got an opening, let's just put a window on this side. You're talking prior to our arrival. Now we're fighting 2 fires.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an exposure. So she said 2 minutes and 53 seconds. Now it is an open air environment. Your house is a closed environment, which actually allows those gases to build up even more, okay, which can actually make the fire spread even more effectively once it gets an oxygen source. Meaning, once that front door is open, we've introduced oxygen. It's another critical point here. The more compartmentalization we have in a home. Most of our homes today are very open, okay, we love that space. But you remember years ago, we used to talk about closing the door at night, have your children close the door. Folks, that's important. We've lost that. We need to close those doors because that creates a compartment. It isolates you from a fire. If there was a fire somewhere else in that home, you can prolong the safety in that home by simply having doors closed. So the compartmentalization of homes is of the utmost importance. Well, let me just say, okay, I'm guesstimating here. The temperature, the ignition temperature of carbon monoxide, 1128 degrees. And that is the most prominent gas of any fire you're going to see. So we know we got to at least 1128. Then we reach basically the flashover, which can go in excess of 2,000, 3,000 degrees, depending on content. So when you've seen it basically get up there, start coming down, the pyrolysis or that steam coming off of the carpets, we're beyond 1128. Anybody else? Captain, good? All right, same exact scenario, okay, same configuration. We'll do the same thing. We're going to ignite from the backside using a fuse into the couch. We've got a sprinkler head, okay, a residential sprinkler head. It's charged at this point. It's charged with 50 psi coming in from the apparatus that would normally be through the domestic system, your home system. You wouldn't even know it's there. All the piping that you see on the exterior obviously would be concealed in the walls. This is another misnomer that sprinklers are ugly. Folks, if you go up there after the fact, obviously, you go up there and you look, it's very tough to even see the sprinkler. But tonight, when you go back to your hotel room and put your head on the pillow, I want you to run this through your mind. There's a reason you're sleeping in that hotel and you're basically in the safest, highest rise district in the world because it's sprinkled. Now, we paid a terrible cost for that, the MGM and the Hilton. You remember those incidents. That strip is the safest in the world because of those sprinklers. Now we have ignition. You've already heard the smoke detector going off. So now we've had our alert as a family or citizens to get out of the structure. Peg, are you keeping the time?
Yeah, we're at 49.
49 seconds. 49 seconds. Now, the sprinkler's continuing to basically snuff that fire out. Yeah, can we turn the sprinkler? So in 49 seconds, the first thing you heard was your alert, your family's alert to get out of the home. The fire continues to burn for how many more seconds? How many more seconds? 49 seconds was the activation. Of the. So you couldn't even get out of your home before this thing activated. I want you to do a side-by-side comparison. This is the important point. This is your worldly possessions unprotected. This is your worldly possessions protected. Everything that you value in your home, you've safely gotten out of your home because of a smoke detector and a working sprinkler system. Okay? This is what you have to basically deal with when you get back. A little bit of water damage. Much, much different picture. Questions?
Like you said, what real water damage, not
Absolutely. Now, that's an important thing. The fire is out. That is not a signal for you not to call the fire department. The fire department needs to continue to come. We need to basically confirm that that fire is out, and then we initiate the startup as far as getting you back into that home through the overhaul process. Eventually, somebody's going to have to come in a little deeper cleaning, but we'll start that process through our overhaul and making sure that everything is out and safe for you.